Good morning from Bulgaria. Another one about the UK and the US. I can't believe how different they are in terms of their political cultures. The US seems to be so far ahead. The UK, whatever I look at, they've just got this 90s perception of how everything works. I've been watching a lot of stuff on Reform UK, and they're absolutely convinced of this 90s boomer meme, that it's a democracy and that all their hope can be put into the UK, Reform UK. And this whole premise that it's a democracy, the UK doesn't work like that. It isn't. It's different to America. So in the United States, you've got two power nodes. You've got the PayPal mafia, the Elon Musk types, and Trump. And then you've got the globalists, which is the Soros people, the Clintons, etc. Now Europe and the UK is basically controlled by not necessarily those people, but people of the same ideology. And so Bank of England, the intelligence services, and Americans understand. They understand the UK better than we do. You can listen to Americans talking about the UK that can explain it better than people in Britain that are supposedly politically engaged. And they think that because they're following politics, in inverted commas, so they're watching very basic stuff, left-wing people versus right-wing people, boring nonsense. They think that because they're exposed to discourse that is superficially to do with politics, they think that that's providing them with any kind of real perspective on what's actually happening. So, as I say, the Americans understand this a lot better. I don't know why it isn't. I think it's to do with content creation. I think it's because, or consumption, sorry. I think it's to do with the fact that the Brits are in this 90s world where their main problem is their left-wing neighbour, and they've got to do something about their left-wing neighbour. They just need to... I don't know how the Americans ended up in the first place being better at consuming content than we are. But I don't know how many Brits listen to American content. I mean, they don't need to worry about the creation of the content itself. They could just flip to American content. It might be a boomer thing, because a lot of the people that I'm talking about are boomers. But we need boomers. If we're going to do anything about the state of the UK, you're going to need boomers. And I do get the impression that younger people are much better informed than older people. They consume better quality content. But no one likes to hear that what they're doing is inferior in any way to anyone else. Because I think people are so insecure in the UK. I've said this for ages, that the UK people, one of the most outstanding features is how insecure they are. And I mentioned it to a Brit that I don't really know very well the other day, and he said everyone's insecure, aren't they? I was like, not everyone is. And not everyone is, and not in terms of, not culturally. Maybe on an individual level, people have got their levels of insecurity, but I don't see insecurity in any country as a nation, as a population, like I do in the UK. I mean, their discourse is all these kind of microaggressions and narcissism, and comes from their insecurity. Anyway, that was a bit of a side rant. But the main issue that I wanted to talk about was this issue with content. And it's really hard to know what people are consuming, but I did do a search on Spotify, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. The most popular podcast is Rory Stewart and Alistair Campbell. I mean, a girl said to me once, what did she say? The country deserves, people deserve the leaders they get. I mean, you can't say that Brits deserve. When you look at the state of it, you look at the state of them, like running around with their narcissism and their kind of fake education. Everything's fake. Everything about that culture isn't real. All their cultural memes that aren't real, their boomer history, fake education, terrible universities, awful media, nothing about what they think is real. And I think that's where all their insecurity comes from. Because if you're told how well educated you are, how you're from one of the best countries, don't forget there's half the country believes that still. And so if you're told all these positive things, and none of them are true, and the actual truth is the opposite, that they have no education, there's nothing that they know, they're extremely uncultured. I'm talking about the government people. It's going to make them really insecure. So, to take a jiu-jitsu analogy, a real black belt is going to feel secure. If you convinced, or if you put someone through a fake jiu-jitsu school, gave them a fake black belt, even though they believe it's real, they still wouldn't have the same security. They'd still be insecure. And that's how Britain is. It's all fake. It's everyone with these fake black belts, with their nonsense university and their nonsense, this thing about class they've still got going on. Talking about which schools they went to and stuff like this. There's no substance to that. Americans are so much more about substance. It's just, I think Britain is a country that everything is about the superficial, about how much they earn, what kind of accent they've got, where they live, supermarket they go to. Well, no wonder it's in a mess. No one would survive that. You couldn't survive that as an individual person. If all you cared about were things like that as an individual, you wouldn't survive either. Americans have always been good at that. They've always been good at the substance. They don't care about how people speak. They care about the substance. So that's what I think is the issue. And it's so debilitating for us, because every issue you try to address, every problem that comes along, if it's all addressed according to the premise that, well, we're a democracy and we can vote our way out of this, and we can hope that this leader's going to be a better leader. Well, if the whole premise is false, which it is, I mean, it's not as if it's my opinion against the British people's opinion. People around the world know. I think people around the world know much more than people in the UK know about the UK. Because the people in the UK have been born into this powerful propaganda machine. And the people on the Conservative side, they can't accept even the idea that propaganda affects everyone. It's always got to be the propaganda affects their left-wing neighbour. If we're all lied to, look, intelligence services are not going to allow half the population to just get things right and just be informed. They wouldn't do that. Okay? They don't do that. But everything is about opacity, about hiding everything, about misdirection. And so people have got massive egos. Now, they've got their natural ego, but at the same time I think it's exacerbated by psychological operations, and because they know it's very powerful. You weaponize the ego, you blast people with propaganda quickly, as soon as an event happens. Look how many people know what side to be on when an event happens. They know right away. And what do? They know right away, and then they start tribalizing on day one, and then they start calling people names in public or online. And now what they're going to do? Now they've just put their ego on the line. Okay, it's exacerbated by the fact that they don't know the subject, so they've got an ego, plus they feel insecure because deep down they don't know the subject. It's all, for me, it's all weaponized psychology. Weaponized psychology, people's insecurities. So it's getting a bit windy. I don't know how it's going to affect the video, but I hope it's going to be okay. Only a short one today. I've got to get back and do some translations, so I'll be uploading soon. Ciao guys, thanks.